Hey, it is hard to put things into words. I mean, memes proliferate because it's easier to put ideas into pictures. If our mouths were chalkboards and our tongues were chalk, we wouldn't need words at all. Stupid words. I mean, if we consider mastery of words so important because we consider them, it's hard to do. It's like mastering nunchucks. And you can hurt yourself pretty badly while you learn to do it correctly. I am bad at analogies, which sucks because I try to illustrate ideas by comparing them to concepts that people already get. Like the nunchucks things. I mean, words are like nunchucks? Like what does that even mean? Reading these articles touched on this idea that maybe this world is so comfortable with the status quo that only bad actors have real initiative. Like maybe most of us are just trying to keep the things about this historic era of peace and plenty going, while a select few who are on our side are trying to pull blocks out of this Jenga tower of society so they can turn those blocks into an app that sells NFTs or profit from it in some other marginal way. It's like how much can they cut before they have to start actively denying that things are falling apart because of what they're doing? Like, oh, hey, maybe we should select a guy who shuts up and does his work over that woman who's willing to raise hell and get the job done. Or, how hard can this job be? I'm sure my fellow cronies could do it well enough. Or, hey, maybe none of this is my fault, even though it obviously is. Like, it feels like sleepwalking our way into a comfortable decline by aiming for the status quo, but that Jenga analogy just isn't good enough. Thankfully, this week has provided a better one. Boat stuck. Boat can't unstuck. This is Morning Perfect Base. I'm Van Velding, and I am going to work on my perfect base in Minecraft a little bit each week, and after a few months, we will see how much progress I've made. Oh man, I love those little things. Yeah, okay. In my defense, I wrote this like 5 hours. The script, I wrote it about 5 hours before the Ever Given got itself free. Okay, so it's publisher perish at this point. I'm gonna work on my armory a little bit, but the first thing I got to do is I got to get some additional dark oak wood. So I got to get the resources because, as you know, if you watch this on a regular basis, and if you do, why? God damn, it is too early in the day-night cycle to deal with this bullshit. I'm not even wearing armor right now. There we go. You know that I have been trying to do this armory for a long ass time. I believe I've built it about twice now. By the time I'm done here, I will have built it twice. Sure, the massive dirt and stone removal, I did that once, just one time. But in terms of the actual walls and the wood and the ceiling, I'm pretty sure I will have put it all up and then effectively ripped it down and put it back up by the time we're done here. Anyway, that entire Sisyphean task requires some dark oak, so here I am, farming more dark oak. My first article is from The Atlantic. It is about, it's an abbreviated history of the United States Special Operations, specifically Special Operations Command. Special Operations Command is kind of the umbrella for joint special operations. Like all of the different services have their own elite operators, but when they work together, it's under SOCOM's purview. The article talks about how it's gone from an idea to an actual organization, a lean, versatile service that coordinates operations between multiple services and their bureaucracies, to maybe its own bureaucratic service at this point. Besides that history, there's one or two central arguments of the article. as SOCOM has gotten the institutional resources it needs, it's become more of an institution. It reminds me of this Office blog. This blog I saw about the Office a while back. In it, it has what's called the Gervais Principle, which suggests that corporate structures are made of three types of people. Initially, there are dynamic executives who are there to extract initial value. Then there are cynical workers who perform minimal labor, which provides value for them indirectly, but for the company directly. And finally, there's the middle management, which has neither a dynamic vision nor valuable labor to reluctantly provide. What they do have is they do have a sincere belief in the company and its marketing goals. And in this model, it's simpler to let middle management become a cargo cult of policies and bureaucracies as the organization offers diminishing value for the competent executives who will eventually leave. Then, without that dynamic leadership, the organization calcifies until it collapses. The workers, ever aware of the poor value proposition they have, will twig to that pretty quickly and they'll leave. And finally, the middle management are the ones who are left holding the bag. And this is just like a model. I can see the arc in it, though. Dynamic and then bureaucratic. I mean, there's a lot more ideology driving the labor of American special operations, but I don't know, like maybe there's not. Like the 2017 murder of Logan Melgar featured two special forces. He was a special forces guy, and it had two Navy SEALs and two Marine Raiders kill him. And allegedly it was hazing, but also he sort of embarrassed one of them earlier, so it was revenge wrapped as hazing that ended up with the guy being killed. There was also the issue at hand of money that was supposed to be paid to informants, which he had allegedly discovered being stolen by those guys, and he was going to turn them in. But apparently that wasn't an issue in the trial. Seems weird. But, they 3 of 4 of them pled down to involuntary manslaughter and negligent homicide, ostensibly as a result of hazing. And one, it's kind of screwed up that organizations will allow you to, put a person under duress and just call it bad culture whenever that's assault. But no, it's involuntary manslaughter and negligent homicide instead of, straight up murder. Like, I understand those terms exist legally. I just don't have to like it. Whenever a dude dies and 3 of the people who are responsible end up serving about 15 years total between them. The 4th person is, they allegedly pled out, and their hearing was supposed to be on Friday, February 1st, but I have not found, clue 1 as to what that's about, how that turned out. You figure it's March now, almost April, so I mean, someone has to have whatever. And then of course you have Edward Gallagher, who wasn't convicted of stabbing a captured ISIS fighter in the neck until he died, but he was instead convicted for posing with the corpse. I mean, look, man, this is America. We will excuse the execution of unarmed prisoners, but we draw the line at bad optics. Which is kind of my point. I mean, Trump pardoned Gallagher, cutting through bureaucratic red tape and actual policies that uphold good order and discipline with all of the grace and distinction of fucking Star Wars, kid. Which kind of brings me to my next point, the sharp rise in these operations from 2016 to 2019. Look, they increased under President Obama, but they went way the heck up under President Trump. During this time, special operations, they were given all of these tasks, but no input on formulating the strategies that needed them. And there was no policy at work because, Donald Trump doesn't like policy because it sets concrete goals for him to accomplish, wherever he would much rather just seagull manage everything. But look, even under President Obama, SOCOM's actions were pretty robust. I mean, those drones that President Obama is known for better or for worse, that's all special operations. And, they're versatile, they're powerful, and most importantly, They are small and confidential. They are a tool for the president to operate faster than politics, even without Americans knowing. I mean, look at the troop surge. That is politicizable. But an op that no one knows about is an op that no one can complain about, until it goes wrong. It is also a case of agile directed resources bypassing bureaucratic filler. And not that the rank and file military is filler, but that the modern political will largely renders it a contingency for the sliver of warfare that exists between modern light footprint operations and full-on nuclear war. Our current number of troops in Iraq and Afghanistan number about 5,000, with 7,000 NATO troops. And those guys are mostly special forces and flight crews. And there are, according to the New York Times, there's another 1,000 special forces there that are off the books, possibly on loan to the CIA, for, all that bullshit. And just to kind of cap off the status of things over there, we are currently under an agreement that Trump forged with ISIS, without the Afghanis, where they're not going to attack us, but we will pull out on May 1st, which is technically logistically impossible on the current timetable. Taliban's abided by that, so we're going to abide by it, which I feel like we're doing a full-on Vietnam there, but I guess we'll just see about that. Let's get back on track though. Microsoft, they would like to use the blockchain to create a decentralized records system, technically more of a decentralized records access system. So they don't actually hold the records. The people who do hold the records will allow people to access it with the Microsoft blockchain system. And they started work on this in 2017. So it sounds like there was a meeting where an executive asked, in order, what is Bitcoin? What can we do with it? You guys can have this done in a few months, right? Like, to their defense, they're already working with the NHS on this, so maybe I'm being a little unfair. But the notion that big companies are somehow a step ahead when they're actually following small-time innovators, like the guy that made Bitcoin, that notion has got to end, because it's a bad one, and it's patently false. The use of decentralized authentication and transfer/transaction log for medical records, like professional credentials and national ID, are good ones. One use has been to help refugees with documentation, but that's like a whole other thing of like who gets to control your records. That's maybe I'll do that later. Maybe there's something to get into later. And there's problems with it too. I mean, it's still Microsoft. I mean, people are trying to hack into Microsoft accounts all the darn time because they're already pretty valuable. Once you mean that your Office account can connect to personal records, especially medical records, that's all the more incentive for people to break into it. Other companies like Microsoft are trying to do the same thing, so it almost seems inevitable that we are going to see competing standards emerge, which is good for competition, but absolutely awful whenever Microsoft and MasterCard are competing and you're just trying to get your goddamn transcripts out. On the other hand, if all of your personal information is under a crypto key, it'll be harder for companies to steal, sell, and leak your info. It's a short but fascinating read. I mean, Wired has been a solid publication for me recently. I've only recently started reading it, but I have been impressed. If you've read it and been impressed, let me know. If you used to read it but stopped for some reason, I'm sure you are super eager to share that story, and I would like to hear that as well. Let's see. This is less of a news article and more of an academic abstract from 2010, but I found it, so just bear with me. It is a sociology study on bouncers. Sociologists went undercover as like a coat check person for this exclusive nightclub, like A-list celebrities and Coke and $1,000 bill exclusive. The premise was that the bouncers make hundreds of judgments about social standing and social class and social indicators every night. Status-based assessments, right? And there's a guest list, obviously, but there's a lot of ambitious people who aren't on it, and there's an incentive for the nightclub to let people in who aren't necessarily on that list. Bouncers are entrusted with weeding out unseemly person, be they dangerous, or just dangerously uncool. It is tempting to look at people who like pretend that McDonald's is Haute Cuisine whenever it's recontextualized, or people who know who imaginary designers are, or pretend to know who imaginary designers are. But wealthy people aren't just paying extra for ordinary things because they're stupid. They're paying for ordinary things that look expensive. Function aside, the trappings of wealth do a lot to influence people. Much like white professionalism can be a secret language for people who aren't raised white, so too are the trappings of wealth their own language for the wealthy and their bouncers of all forms. It's a lot of racism too, though. Let's not pretend it's not that. Black dudes never got in unless they were well connected. The bouncers would let in people from Latin America, but not American Latinos. And yes, bringing a pretty woman increased your odds of getting in if you were a guy. The sociologist specifically noted the women's symbolic power. It is my suggested read for this week. I think you should take a look at it. I've got the links for all of the articles in the video description. It's a lot of them. But I think they're all worth a read, but I think this one especially is my one solid recommendation. It's a short one. Oh, back in my earlier bullshit with organizations. This is a platform article about Medium, the blogging platform, which you may not have heard of. I don't read Platformer, but I do have a Pocket account, and every so often, Pocket sends me a good article. So the article is in-depth and informative, but I do need you to take a drink, a beer, shots, water, whatever, when I recount a Web 2.0 cliche. Let's see, dot-com billionaire wants to disrupt an industry. In this case, that dot-com billionaire is named Ev Williams, and the industry is web journalism. He hires editors and writers with promises to pay for good journalism, which does initially happen. Let's see, the monetization scheme doesn't work, and they have to tighten belts. A unionization bid barely fails by 1 vote. Nonetheless, the billionaire still turns to an engagement algorithm and lays all of those people off. Let's see, we then turn to user-made content, and that user-made content sends erotica to the President of the United States. You cannot drink for that last one because that is unique to Medium, but you can drink for the one company event where a white tech bro said the N-word at karaoke. So, sunrise, sunset, some hubris from Ev Williams. The only thing I have to add is that the guy writing the article starts with the click drawing bit about the POTUS getting erotica. Apparently, Joe Biden used Medium as part of his campaign. It was effective. It surprised me. I think it's a fair draw, but they don't circle back around to it. The deal with articles, okay, is that when you start specific, you then go broad, and you have to go full circle. I mean, you don't have to, but we're intrigued by the hook. Then you backpedal and you give us the history, right? Then you deliver the new information, and then you show us how all of that relates to the hook, and bam, closure. That's what we got. Solid structure. I mean, it's not a real complaint. It's just weird, Anyway, just some quick bits though. This Polygon article on Magic: The Gathering: Legends makes a few hundred words out of a Diablo clone showing planeswalkers planeswalking. It's got everything. It's got a reminder that the Netflix series exists, which has been in development for a year, which everybody talks about, but which is going to be mediocre at best, guys. Come on, think about it. It has the LinkedIn for the Magic Creative Director, and it's got some Bullspark. Now, that might be confusing. Bullspark is whenever you write a shit Magic the Gathering novel, but it still somehow ends up a New York Times bestseller. That is some Bullspark. I'm not coming down on Charlie Hall for this thing. I am in awe of making a whole article over fucking nothing. Dude has spun the straw's shadow into gold. Well, bronze. Let's just be honest. He has spun the straw's shadow into plastic straws. Ah, damn it. I was supposed to move those up, but I just put them exactly back where I fucking found them. It's a feat, though. It's a feat, and I have respect for that. I mean, congratulations, Charlie Hall. What? Oh, Stellaris is making a... Oh, fuck. Stellaris is making a board... let me dig a hole here. I do this every time. I'm tired of flooding out all of my ground-based lights in here. I am just gonna do the fucking... God damn it. I have a realm, and I was talking with somebody recently, like, oh, I'd like to play Minecraft online with my kid. We're not in the same network. How do we do that? And it's like, how can I host a server? I did a great job of not flooding the cow pen by absolutely flooding the armory again. He's like, how can I do that cheaply and efficiently? I'm like, I'm sure it's more expensive, but I just use a realm. You can't use mods on it, but it's reliable. And I have a lot of fun. And the only problem I've ever noticed is that water sometimes just disappears. Sometimes there's a little bit of miscommunication about where the water is in the world. Especially, I use buckets to climb things a lot. And I don't always do it competently. Yeah, I have a tendency to just spam click instead of trying to conscientiously click on things like someone who's good, because I'm not someone who's good at this game. But I really enjoy it. I really enjoy the realm. No mess, no fuss. I have a lot of problems connecting to the Banana Viking server sometimes. Because, it's hard, It's like, oh, fucking Jesus. Alright, let's see if I can make it through the door. Just loop. Nope. Fell again. Right. So the Banana Viking server is great. But, it's just a server. So it doesn't connect as well as Realms does. And it's a little rough for my system sometimes. It's a little rough for my internet. If you follow me on Twitter, I've been having some internet problems, which is super frustrating. But they seem to have passed. Fingers crossed. Let's see what's up. Oh, right, Stellaris. Stellaris is making a board game. Which you think, great, you love Stellaris, Chris. You love Stellaris so much. And I don't. Stellaris is super... I have thousands of hours in Stellaris, okay? But I find Stellaris to be really boring. It's a 4X game. But now that I've explored so much of it, the replayability is almost nil. I've done all of the challenge runs I cared to. The challenge runs I've got left are based on DLC. They are based on slavery, which I will destroy every living thing in the galaxy, but I just won't do slavery. And finally, they're based on 1 in a million chance, like winning the Galactron, or what is it? Finding a version of Earth that is currently in the modern era, that is having a civil war, and then invading it during that era. And it's like, geez, I'm not going to do that, man. I can't do that. Yeah. So, right. So Stellaris has the goal to... No, that's not right. It's good on the edge. But no. It's running north-south. I need it to run east-west. Still running north-south. Okay. No. Okay, it doesn't matter how I stand. It's gotta... Yeah. Do off the back. Nope. I'm not 100% on what makes Minecraft blocks decide on their orientation. I'm not 100% on that. So I personally don't think 4X games have any business being board games. Ooh, boy, it does look ugly from the side, though. And it's aligned right. It's oof. I guess it's fine. Oh, shit. I guess it's fine, though. They're supposed to look like logs being on top of each other. So, that aesthetic works to some extent. But anyway, I just think they have a lot of gall to have a Kickstarter for that. They're doing good. Stellaris is popular. The game itself is going to cost $150. Like, fuck that, dude. Choke on it, man. Anyway, that's all I got. Until next time, keep asking questions.